And I want you to look at this. This is a 2013 model. And it does have the 6-screw case. You see that right there? So either this one's been upgraded or they changed to the 6 screws back then. But notice it doesn't have any leaking right here where some of them did. It's got none of that. I don't know if I can get some light in there. This thing's just got ungodly amounts of time. Piston looks fine. Saw it's like really dirty. And this is pretty typical of one that's been in logging service for its entire life. Yeah, 2013 is what it says on the tag. And it came in because it had crash damage. It was smashed on this side. So I'm taking some covers from a 2012 version and piecing it together so I can go back into service. And the guy goes, well, what do you think I should do this saw? And when I took a look at this, and the piston being the way it is, run it. There's no reason in doing anything major on a saw like that. Just run the crap out of it until it stops. Then we'll worry about something. But it runs beautifully. Yep, shut the lights out. Put this one together. It's ready to test now. And got a call from a fella that I'm looking for a outboard from. So we're going on a road trip to see if I can find a outboard for one of those little aluminum boats. I don't know if I put them on film yet. Maybe I should go do that. That's candidate number 1. Needs an ignition. That's candidate number 2. That's a Mark 28.
Sorry.
A Mark 28A, I believe. Need a pull start for it. That one I built, oh my God, probably 35, 40 years ago. And at the time it had a new water pump. You know, all the rubber inside the carburetor and all that kind of stuff. What's on my snowplow route, my night shift route. This hill right here is one of the highest hills in the county. And I just find the view pretty spectacular, so I figured I'd get a little bit on film and share it. Take a look at what a little bit of rain does to this road. Have to go run a couple of saws I got stuck together, and I guess what I'm going to do is take a 360 and run it against that new 038 that's got some problems, and run it against a standard 2013 version bone stock 562 and a 2013 version bone stock 372 X-torq, and we'll just swap the bar on the 562 and the 372 and get a sense of what the difference would be, which you should know right now is the 372 is stronger, but how much. On the 038, I'm beginning to suspect that either it has a carburetor issue, which I have a new one coming, or it has a timing issue. and timing could be either ignition or ports. I'm not sure which, but just the way it's kind of like slow and coming up in the revs and things like that, I have a more significant problem than just the carburetor is my guess. So I happen to like that build. I happen to like the saw. Is that a turtle? So I'm going to debug it. We'll figure it out. And if it's timing, well, then we'll just grind off the little keyway on the flywheel and slip it a little further advanced and see if that helps. But I did find that the air filter on it was extremely restrictive, as I suspected. And I got an OEM steel air filter on it, and it really didn't make as much difference as I had hoped, you know, in terms of having it pick up RPMs. I was hoping for more. I also ordered a OEM carburetor, and I'm going to see if that makes a difference. But my instinct is telling me that the ignition timing is retarded, and that's why it's not revving out. The other possibility is maybe because of how I had to route the spark plug wire, I might be getting that same issue that I had on those Husqvarna 562xp where it's arcing against the cylinder. Maybe the insulation on the spark plug wire is not what it should be. But anyway, I got to run these 4 saws and get a benchmark on them. Okay, let me see if I can get this all in before dark. From right to left, the 380 kit with a steel OEM filter. That saw is not running right. This is a benchmark to show where we're starting from as we evolve that saw to something different. The 036 kit saw, the junk pile 390, a 372 X-torq bone stock. That's a 2013 version, and a 2013 version of a 562, also completely stock. So there's no saws there that have been modified. They're all pretty much either as they came out of the box in the case of the kit saws, the Farmertec kit saws, or they're built to OEM standard specifications in the case of the 390, the 372 X-torq, and the 562. So let me get my chaps on, my helmet on, get them all fired up, and then I'm just going to run some cuts and get some video, then go back and sort out what I've got. Now what I expect to find is the 390 being obviously the fastest because it's the most powerful of those saws, and that's very, very hard wood. The 372 coming in next, the 562 coming in next, and then it really is going to be a toss-up between the 036 and 038 because the 038 just isn't running right, not yet. By the end of the summer, that 038 should sit somewhere right in between the 562 and the 372 if I can get it to where it should be. But let me get them all fired up and get some test cuts. Yeah, I had forgotten this is a chain that hit the tap. So this chain has a couple of destroyed teeth.
Alright, that was not oiling as well as I would like, but it's oiling. I'll turn that up a little bit. On to the kit saws. That one's actually beginning to pick up a little bit. Remember, this is only 60 cc's, and it's an older design. It's a copy of a Steel 036, so it should be at the bottom of the food chain on this group of saws. Not sure it's going to be though. Well, interestingly enough, like the kit 036, this one's picking up power in a hurry. That is a lot better than it was when I had it on my test log up in the garage. And I think this is going to surprise you with its times. I think it will. Now, remember,
I hit a tap pretty badly with this bar and chain. I think in the last time I tested this saw out here on that log. So it's also got an 18-inch bar and chain, so it might offset the fact that it's missing a couple of teeth. But so for me, at this point in time, this is actually a pleasant surprise. So let me shut the camera off, and I'm going to change the bar and chain over to the 562 and give it a test run and see what we got with that saw. Okay, so what I decided to do is take the bar and chain off the 390 or the 385, and I'm going to put it on the 562 first and then go back and put it on the 372. And I guess there's two things this is going to show. One, what's in a chain, you know, how much difference does two teeth make? And two, whether or not the extra 2 inches of a 20-inch bar negates the loss. You know, if it's the same time, that means the damaged 18 runs like a good 20. The second thing this will show is whether or not a standard 562, you know, with a lot of time on it, that saw has had the crap beat out of it. Can it pull a 20-inch bar in hard maple? You know, inquiring minds want to know. Here goes. That saw is an absolute joy to run. You know, I don't care what anyone says. When you have a 562 that's running well, there's very little vibration. That thing is so smooth. I can't tell you on the camera how much smoother it is than all the other saws. Not even the same ballpark. And as you can tell, it makes pretty good power. That's no slouch. That's with no modifications. So why would a person want to modify one of these damn things? Just make it run like that, stock, and go cut wood, you know what I'm saying? That is a surprise. I did not expect it to run that well, and the only things I did to this is it does have a little bit more opening, the muffler, and I did cut the cover, and it has a plug in the decomp. Pretty much what I do to all the saws that come through the shop that's a 562 is I open up that cover right there. So anyway, this bar and chain's going over to 372. Nice saw, I like that saw. All right, I've got that bar and chain that the 562 had that was originally on the 390 on the 372 X-torq. I want to run that first, and then I'm going to take a couple more cuts with the kit saw 038 and see whether or not a cool off and getting it to temperature helps break that saw in some. One comment I want to make is, yet again, I've noticed on those Zumara bars, Total is just a rebranded Zumara bar. The oil hole plugs really quickly and will scare you. You think your saw is having an oiling problem. It's just the bar with the oiling hole beginning to, you know, fill up with chips. So anyway, a couple more cuts and I'm done. Just a little history on this saw right here. It was a logger saw that I put in Nachi bearings and OEM seals, and it's got a new piston ring. I can't remember the other stuff I did. I think I put a new boot on it too, but I think you're going to see quite a difference in the time, because that chain I had on it when I first made the cuts was terrible. In the defense of this saw is just like that 372. This bar and chain is one that came off the 660s. And just like the 036 kit saw, these two bar and chains I've used on the kit saws came off the 660s. They have a lot of time. So they aren't sharp, but they're sharp enough. Yeah, this saw right here, the times will pretty much speak for themselves. Not a rip-roaring powerhouse, but it's acceptable. It'll cut wood pretty good. And that's the starting point. We're going to develop this saw some. I like it, you know, for no other reason. I can tell you by putting the OEM air filter that made a big difference. But I still think something is fundamentally off on this saw. I can't tell you whether or not it's the ignition timing, the carburetor, or possibly even the whole cylinder. I do have a highway cylinder to put on this thing if I don't like what I have here. But the fact of the matter is, if you had purchased that saw and had not run all the saws that I've run over the past 25 years, you probably would be quite happy. It would cut a lot of wood, doesn't cost very much, and it's a cool looking saw. You know what I'm saying? What happens is when you start getting all these other saws, you start comparing bits and bytes, and all of a sudden it comes up short because it doesn't make the kind of power you want to make out of a 70cc saw. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, in its current configuration, it's really not a bad cutting saw. It really isn't. That stuff there is hard as a rock, right there. So that kind of skews pretty much everything you see. It really favors the saws that have a lot of torque, and really doesn't favor the ones that have RPM. I did notice the RPMs did pick up a little bit, so, you know, we'll see. We'll just have to see. But I still think there's something in there that's keeping it from, you know, running to its displacement potential is the best way of putting it. So, if you're interested, stay tuned. This one here, I believe, is actually starting out at a better spot than the 660 did, because I didn't really have to change anything fundamental just yet. So, all right, that's it for now. I got to go to work tomorrow, so I'm going to try to wrap this up, make a video, and hope you find this interesting. So, you know, the camera doesn't do it justice because it makes everything look smaller and flatter. But that there is a spectacular sunset about to happen. This is right up front of our place.